Hello, Deborah.
Good
Have
morning.
have you had your cup of coffee today?
I have, and actually, I'm on number 2 right now.
What a way to start today.
I know. It's good, right? Awesome. All right. We got some really great content today, right?
Yes, we're going to sprinkle some hashtags on our coffee.
Sounds good.
All this is going to be about getting our information in front of as many people, the right kind of people as possible. We're going to be talking about tactics that LinkedIn has implemented in their system to maximize the visibility of people's information online. In other words, the information that they post. They want their posts to be seen by the right people. And
I think that's important, right? Because if LinkedIn is endorsing this, if LinkedIn is doing these things or suggesting these things, then really, if we're on LinkedIn, we want to be able to follow that process. Makes sense.
Yes. These are important guidelines to follow. So let's see what we have here. Hashtags. Did you know that the first hashtag appeared on the internet in the internet relay chat as long ago as 1988?
I did not know that. That's incredible.
Yeah, in 1988, on internet relay chat, users communicated to one another through channels which were identified by the pound sign. For example, hashtag London would be a channel for all people talking about London. Hashtag singles, people talking about single people talking about single people. And the inventor of the hashtag was this guy, Christopher Reeves Messina. He was an American blogger. And as recently as 2007, Messina proposed that grouping of messages, trends, and events on Twitter should be done by using hashtags. So really that was the beginning of the use of hashtags on Twitter. That's the involvement of the hashtag. Deborah, what do you think the top 10 hashtags are? The most,
I haven't Googled that recently. It's been quite some time, but I actually find this whole fascinating topic of real value because we need to really leverage this. So actually, being that they're top 10 right now, let's see how we can leverage that. Share those, please, with us.
And maybe you can read them because I purposely made them very faint. These are the top ones that I've listed. But can you guess what they are?
No, I can't.
Can you read it maybe? No? Okay, let me do this. There we are. The one at the very top is hashtag love, the most popular, 1.8 billion users. And then Insta good, fashion, photo of the day, beautiful, art, photography. And the last 3 are hashtag happy, hashtag pick of the day, and hashtag cute. Isn't that cute?
Yeah, actually, I find quite surprising. Maybe not so much the fashion one. The fashion one I would have definitely have thought being up there. But some of the others, I would. It kind of surprises me. So yeah, wow. Okay.
Just another bit of useless information.
Well, yeah, but it's the whole idea is how do we use it to really leverage it? So I know you're going to share some tips on that.
Actually, I'll share a tip about that with you right now. We can create our own hashtags, you know that. And then we just need to get people to use them. And LinkedIn has one feature to do that, where when a hashtag appears in a post on your timeline, if you click on it, you can follow it. So you can create your own hashtag, send yourself a post, click on that hashtag that you've created, and now suddenly it has one follower. That's the beginning. Has to start with the number one somewhere.
So it would be interesting to know, and I'm hoping you're going to share this, the advantages of creating our own hashtags versus leveraging the hashtags that are already in use right now. Will you be sharing those tidbits?
Absolutely. That's what this is all about.
Okay, good, good.
What's in your LinkedIn feed? This is important to know, and it's common sense. People you know talking about things you care about. And all this information that I'm sharing now with you and viewers, Deborah, was published in 2019, about 3 years ago, by Pete Davis, Senior Director of the Product Management at LinkedIn. So very relevant stuff. As you know, or as we know, posts can have text, links, video, and images in them. Posts can appear in your feed because you connected to or follow the person or page that posted it. So these are the connections, the relationships that LinkedIn looks for when deciding what information to put in front of whom. Posts can appear in your feed because a connection liked, commented, or shared someone else's post. They can appear in your feed because you joined a group. If you join a group and suddenly you see posts appearing on your timeline, it's because someone in that group posted something that has been deemed important enough to appear in front of you. Posts can appear in your feed because you follow a hashtag. So,
wow. Okay, good. Good to know.
if you use hashtags, it's like the common denominator. You pick hashtags, and now you are associated with those hashtags, and then LinkedIn sees those hashtags and links you up with posts that have those hashtags. Those are the connections.
So the wheels are turning for me now a little bit. Okay, anxious to get into more content here.
That's good to hear. Another reason that posts can appear in your feed is because you attended an event. Obviously, that event has a description. Usually, those descriptions incorporate hashtags. And the objective is to show content and conversations that is in the members' interest. So if you post information and you want that information to appear in front of relevant people that you know you could help. This is the information, the text information that is looked at.
So it would be interesting to know, and I'm sure you might be sharing this. So if you're posting a fairly general hashtag, obviously people that are following that hashtag could end up in your news feed. But when you're posting things and you're using a hashtag, how much broader is your post going on LinkedIn?
See, that's a good question. At the very beginning, you asked about the difference between using your own hashtags and using commonly used hashtags. Obviously, if you use your own hashtag and you have one follower, well, it's unlikely that your single hashtag is going to be responsible for displaying your post in front of many people. However, on the other hand, if you're using a popular hashtag that 10,000 people are using, well, then it is very likely that your post will appear in front of them. Of course, there are other parameters that LinkedIn takes into account to determine who they will show your post to. But one of the criteria is that hashtag. What LinkedIn recommends, or rather I've read somewhere that it is recommended to use specific hashtags rather than general hashtags, which makes sense because, for example, that one hashtag love, you use that hashtag. Well, now you have 1 billion people.
Yeah. Okay.
Or 1 billion people using hashtag love. Your post is not going to be shown to 1 billion people. Obviously, it's just physically impractical. Instead, if we use a very specific hashtag, let's see if I can think of one on the spot here. Hashtag love today only, for example. That is a more specific hashtag talking about love, but today and not any other day. That is more specific. And there's a far smaller group of people that will be using that hashtag. So it is much easier, more practical for your post to be shown to those people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It makes sense. And I mean, all these details that you're sharing, Moreno, are all about us leveraging visibility, getting noticed, known, and remembered, developing the know, like, and trust factor, getting in front of more people, and really utilizing a piece of technology like LinkedIn more effectively. So anxious to hear a little bit more about what you have to share here.
Yeah, so let's look at this slide here. When you open LinkedIn, it checks for recent posts by your connections, people, pages, and hashtags that you follow, and groups that you belong to. So you've just opened up LinkedIn. You've just signed onto your computer. You fire up LinkedIn. Right, now LinkedIn wants to know who you are, because LinkedIn wants to help you by showing you relevant information and by showing your information to the right people. So when you open LinkedIn, the most valuable posts appear on top of your feed. And that is determined by the conversation value, determined by the people you know, what they are talking about, and the things that you care about. Sound complicated?
Well, certainly it really understanding even that opens my eyes and creates a little bit of a light bulb moment there. So, and I'm just wondering how many people on LinkedIn are actually aware of these things. And I would imagine there's probably a pretty large percentage that are not.
And there should be, because it's critically important. We need to know how this engine, LinkedIn, works so that we are able to get the most benefit from it and provide the most benefit, or rather, how we can provide the most benefit to the right kind of people. If we don't know these rules, then we are traveling without a map. We are traveling blind. We are at sea without a rudder, without a captain.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So I'm going to talk about those 3 points. The first one, people that you know. How does LinkedIn know who you know and are most likely to want to talk with? Well, LinkedIn starts with your connections, assuming that they are people you want to talk with. It's like very obvious. And your connections are prioritized over others when it comes to ranking your posts in their feed. Obviously, the people that you're connected with take priority.
And we're talking about first connections here.
Yes.
Yes.
Good point. That's right. So people that you know, your connections are prioritized over others when it comes to ranking your posts in their feed, as I just said in the previous slide, by looking at who you have interacted with, by looking at your comments and reactions. See, interaction is very important. LinkedIn looks at going forwards and backwards, interactions. Considering information on your profile to find common interests and experiences. That's why having a rich profile is important, because that way people get to know who you are, and also LinkedIn gets to know who you are. And then it will be better able to understand how to help you. Considering which connections would benefit from hearing from you, and rank the post higher if your post needs more engagement. This puzzled me. That's why I put a question mark there. Can I ask you, Deborah, your thoughts on that last point there?
Well, you know what? It makes a lot of sense, and it's something further that we need to study, dig a little bit deeper, and actually work on creating a plan to put into place for our own LinkedIn. So I like the whole idea that your connections are prioritized over other people. So that, of course, gets ranked in the feed. And I would imagine the more frequently that you're posting and you're giving good, relevant contact or content to people, that you're going to show up more frequently within their feed, top of mind. So, you want, like it says, you got rank the post higher if your post needs more engagement. So it's how do you engage, and how do you leverage getting more engagement in within LinkedIn itself. So all good points.
Good thoughts. It means that your post has already created engagement. So LinkedIn says, okay, you, Deborah, your post has created some engagement. Therefore, let's promote you more. No engagement, we leave you alone. But if you're creating some interest backwards and forwards, well, now you have everybody's interest. Let's pay more attention to you. Let's give you more engagement.
So and then there are obviously things that you need to do beyond. So while they give you more engagement, it's what do you do beyond that to start creating that personal connection with people? That becomes really important, as well as kind of the next steps that you're building into your plan.
That's right. Relationships is everything. So when you open LinkedIn, the most valuable posts appear at the top of your feed. We said the conversation value is determined by the people that you know. Now, let's look at talking about point number 2. Apparently, it's a very sophisticated algorithm that's being used. LinkedIn favors conversations which are authentic and go backwards and forwards constructively. So you see, they're looking for value, deep conversations, meaningful conversations. Just putting stuff out there with no meaning does no one any good. Let's look at the third point. Things you care about. Well, LinkedIn matches your post content with the members' interests. How are members' interests determined? We now ask. Well, by looking at the groups join, hashtags again, people and pages followed. If you and a connection have a common hashtag, your post gets pushed higher up the feed. So once again, that hashtag plays a critical role. We need to use it wisely. In summary, Deborah, to decide what goes to the top of your feed, LinkedIn looks at what you're talking about and decides which members, connections, group members, anyone may be interested in your content. So just that one long line makes us appreciate how complicated, how sophisticated the algorithm must be. The algorithm doesn't favor any particular post format. It just looks at personal behavior, personal value.
Wow. Okay. So, there needs to be some real thought in how you put this process together.
We as users, Deborah, we just need to concentrate on providing quality material of value, and paying attention to some of the rules. Hashtags, using hashtags, making sure that we have a complete profile, that we have the right information there, that we use the correct hashtags, tips, and best practices. How to encourage conversations. Let me see what I have in this slide. I don't quite remember. Encourage conversations. Post things that encourage readers to share their opinion. Ask, yes. So we should do that. I haven't been doing that. When we post something, we should not just have content, of value and maybe a call to action at the end, but ask a question. Ask for people's opinions. People like to share their opinions.
There's one point on there that's quite interesting, is you've got that underlined, like sharing their opinion and asking. And this is really important, because my understanding of LinkedIn, just liking a post doesn't really boost a whole lot of engagement. The idea is, I believe that LinkedIn, their algorithms actually prefer that you say, please share, or share your opinion or ask, or they prefer that. Is that true?
100%. You're so right, Deborah. I mean, it's so easy. Just click like, big deal. However, to make a comment, to say something, that requires some thinking. In other words, there must be something of interest there to attract our attention and engage us. Therefore, it's meaningful. Use @mentions to pull other people into a conversation when you think that they'll have something valuable to add. And LinkedIn allows a maximum of 5 @mentions. So if I had to post something and I know that you would have something of particular interest to add, I would put your name there, @Deborah Reynolds, and then you would get it directly.
Yeah, that's that's an important feature, and I'm sure there are, obviously, I know people that use the @ with the name afterwards to search, to directly target them.
Yes.
And to get their attention, to say, hey, read this, this is relevant to you. But I don't think we use that enough. So I like the fact that you've got a maximum of 5 there. Now we know that we can specifically think of people and then include that in there, in the conversation, in the discussion, and then again ask for their opinion, or ask them to share their opinion, or to ask what their thoughts are on the post. Yeah, great information, Moreno.
An analogy would be that you've been on stage many times, and imagine you on stage in front of a large audience and you ask a question, just throw it out there. Well, people will hesitate answering. But if you say, Moreno, what is your opinion on what I've just said? Well, now you've put me on the spot, and I will most likely say something, answer.
And the interesting part of that, when I go @Moreno and then just to say, share your opinion on this, it's equivalent to when you're on stage, when I actually hand you the microphone to give you an opportunity to have a voice.
Yes, so powerful, so very powerful. Something that should not be squandered or thrown away.
I don't think we use that enough. That's an excellent tip to use and implement. We could do that today. We could implement that today.
Yes. There's no better time than now, today. Tomorrow's too late. Engage in the conversation, respond to commenters, and encourage going backwards and forwards. Go deep in topics. Here are examples of hashtags that I used before. Performance management is better than hashtag management. Hashtag management is wide. But if we're looking at performance management and we use that hashtag, well, that's more specific, and we're more likely to get responses coming in.
Now, I like the fact that you mentioned here a maximum of 3, because I do see people adding a lot more than 3. So can you share a little bit about the importance of that?
I don't think I know enough to share the importance of that. And the reason I say that is because I have come across conflicting information. maximum 3 on the one at the one extreme. At the other extreme, I have been told from someone within LinkedIn, you can use as many hashtags as you want. So in my opinion, what is most important is to use specific hashtags to go deep. And it's like when we're talking, when we're having a conversation, we are much more effective speaking to a small group of people. We are most effective when we're speaking to one person only. So rather than use many hashtags, use fewer and use specific ones. Then we will target our audience. What do you think of that, Deborah?
No, I think that's a good idea. But you shared really important information. So, and this is about somebody from inside of LinkedIn said you could use as many hashtags as you want. But it could be that the first 3 hashtags that you post are the ones that are going to get the most amount of leverage for you. So I'm not sure if that would be the case or not, but it would be interesting to do a little bit of digging to find out about that.
Yes. Indeed.
Perfect. Great information. And of course, what you were saying, the genuine conversations, like real experiences. So, and that's part of it, goes right back to the authenticity. And I like the fact that you've got the algorithms are all about the authenticity and the discussions and the conversations, and it's artificial intelligence really used to leverage in a really unique way. So that of course results in deeper and better conversations with people. And that, of course, is the start of building great relationships and good connections on LinkedIn.
Yes, that's right. This slide summarizes everything. And the last slide I have is go to LinkedIn Help. They are very good. Just put that in the search box and relevant information will come up. They are very resourceful and they do respond to our request for more information.
Beautiful. This has been a really great topic. I've loved this topic. And I think it's something that we can immediately take the content and material and we can apply and then really assess what kind of results we're getting out of it. So we could get real-time evidence in terms of the value of it, which I know is enormous.
What people need to do now is, I just posted some information in the comments section. The best way for people to promote themselves, to get known, to be found, is to go online live, like you and I are now doing.
Right.
What I've posted here are 2 links to Google Forms. What he suggested, Deborah, is that those who are interested appearing online live should join us on one of our live events. And the best way to do that is to provide us information using these Google Forms. And that can be the first step, and we will take it from there.
No, I think that's great. And we know that people can be really nervous about going live on LinkedIn. And we kind of we coach you through that process to make it a whole lot easier for you and really quite seamless. So, take a chance on yourself. You deserve to be visible and you deserve to get way more exposure out there on the online world in terms of promoting your visibility and your brand. So fill out the documents as Marino had shared, and we look forward to connecting with you.
And this brings us to the end of our show, Deborah. Thank you for sharing information. Always most exciting to be with you. And
Thank you, Marino. It's always good to be with you as well.
Goodbye, everyone.